You must have heard about the myth of Sisyphus, have you? Let me remind you a bit about it.
Sisyphus is a figure from Greek mythology who, as a king of Corinth, became infamous for his general trickery and twice cheating death.
This happened to him because he committed a crime against the gods, the specifics of which are variedly reported.
He was condemned to eternity as hard, frustrating labor. As a punishment, he was to roll a huge boulder to the top of a hill. Every time Sisyphus exerted great effort and toil to roll the boulder uphill, the darn thing just rolled all the way back down again. He knows that all his efforts don't really amount to anything, and that this is going to be his fate forever.
Now, you must be wondering what on earth is the story of Sisyphus got to do with
Charlie Chaplin's timeless and last silent film, Modern Times, and Todd Phillips' Joker. But hear me out, as I expound on the meaning of the themes of both of these films and their striking resemblance to each other. Now it's very clear that Todd Phillips' Joker was heavily inspired from films like Taxi Driver, The King of Comedy, Fight Club, etc. But it seems like there is no word out there about the movie's real inspiration, which being Charlie Chaplin via his film Modern Times. Phillips hasn't openly really spoken about this on record, but I suspect that either consciously or subconsciously, Arthur Fleck in Joker is almost an embodiment of Chaplin's infamous character of the Little Tramp from Modern Times.
Now, whether this was intentional from Todd Phillips or not, I will let you guys decide by the end of the video.
Alright, point number one, and this is going to be the longest point of all. So Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times, an entertainment piece at the surface, which also serves as a political commentary criticizing the flourishing industrialization and commoditization of big business America, which has developed at the expense of his workers. Modern Times finds Chaplin facing very difficult predicaments in the aftermath of America's Great Depression, when mass unemployment coincided with the massive rise of industrial automation. Chaplin's character is seen as a worker being driven crazy by his monotonous, inhuman work on a conveyor belt and being used as a guinea pig to test a machine to feed workers as they work. The task frequently repeats all day long, reduces people as mere pawns, stealing their individuality and turning them into cogs in a wheel. As machines, they can be exploited at cheap labor. Now, drawing a parallel to this, Arthur Fleck in Joker is a character based in 1980s setting in a decaying Gotham City of New York, which is rife with crime and unemployment, leaving swaths of population disenfranchised and impoverished. Arthur, also an impoverished and mentally disordered man, works on a daily wage as a party clown. He does odd jobs, like being a signboard clown for shops, which is a parallel to factory worker. Conceptually, he is just a tool used by shop owners to sell their stuff, where he is prone to comments and mockery of passers-by, and at times becomes an object of bullying and beatings by local gangs of kids. In principle, the character has no real affiliation towards what he's helping to sell in the shop, nor does he derive any real meaning out of it. He just exists. Both these characters are susceptible to deep mental trauma from a neglectful and opportunistic system that only cares about the ideas of productivity and exploits them for profit. Both characters are driven to insanity by society's cruel sense of materialism without any kind of support or a sense of comfort.
Now, it has been widely theorized upon by several economists like Adam Smith,
the 18th century Scottish economist and the author of Wealth of Nations, and Karl Marx, a German philosopher and economist who was the brains behind foremost ideology of communist movement. Adam Smith, in his book The Wealth of Nations, gives an example of a pin factory, where the process of manufacturing a pin is distributed among workers, wherein though the productivity improves drastically, but the worker loses any touch or meaning of the work. He feared that the monotonous assembly lines in which workers performed single tasks throughout the day could sap their creativity and spirit.
Now, this is also a recurring issue with modern corporations. There are thousands of books written every single day on employee engagement and just general meaning in their work.
Though the root problem remains the same. As corporations grow in size, the lesser the meaning of the people in the work that they do. Karl Marx seized on Smith's concerns. He saw monotonous production tasks coupled with subsistent wages that do not represent the full value of labor as factors that increase worker alienation, eventually resulting in a worker-led uprising against the capitalist class. At this point, we do know that division of labor, like the one depicted in both the movies, affects satisfaction of people with their jobs, which in turn is helpful in evaluating emotional well-being and mental fitness of people. You know that phrase, "I'm just doing my job"? That mentality often leads to a form of insanity. The classic example of this is the one we all have seen in Nazi Germany, where people were so alienated from decisions and decision makers that they would commit heinous crimes of brutally killing people, even kids and women, under the banner, "I'm just following orders."
So, coming back to the story of Sisyphus and the reason I brought it up,
repetition of the same task again and again with no meaning or connection to the fruits of one's labor leads to intellectual dullness. It kills the initiative and weakens the desire to learn. As a result, the development of physical and intellectual personality of a human is retarded. Point number 2. Now take a look at the theme song of both the movies. Voila! Smile.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking.
Smile, the song, was composed by Chaplin himself for the movie and was recomposed for Joker, expressing a strong relation to and inspiration from modern times. If you listen to this song and contextualize it, you'll immediately get the meaning and themes that both the films are trying to convey. The song is heartbreaking, especially when you think about it in the context of both the movies. But hey, is this just a coincidence? Point number 3. Both movies attempt to explain the idea of turning tragedy into comedy. In the case of Chaplin, he literally converts tragedy into comedy for people to laugh on. And in the case of Joker, he constantly tries to do that with his jokes like, "I wish my death would make more sense than my life." Point number 4.
both films focus on the accumulation of power in the hands of a few.
In the former, it's the corporation that dictates the life of workers and in turn dictates the politics of the region. And same is the case with Joker, where the mayor of the city and his allies are all powerful forces who determine the future of the masses. Point number 5. In both the films, the real destination of both the lead characters is independence of their art, which is comedy. They both aspire to become artists but are stuck in the rut of earning a wage to feed their mouths and their families. Number 6.
In both films, everything falls apart when both the protagonists are driven to madness.
In Chaplin's case, he wrecks a factory completely, which is symbolic of wrecking of the social order. And in the case of Joker, he turns into a violent criminal with no empathy who lives on the mantra of chaos.
Introduce a little anarchy. Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos. I'm an agent of chaos.
Point number 7. Both films have constant references to fantasies and daydreaming. In the case of Chaplin, he dreams about a perfect life with bounties to eat, a beautiful house, a beautiful and happy family, a wife, in an almost dreamlike scenario. While as in Joker, it seems like the whole movie is a fantasy. and that it's all happening in his head. There's a sense of escapism from brute reality of life towards a life of acceptance, love, fulfillment, and recognition in the form of an imaginary girlfriend, a father figure in the form of Murray Franklin. Again, coincidence? Point number 8. In Modern Times, there's a scene where Chaplin struggles to identify the in and out or the entry and exit of the door when he's nervous, producing a small stint of comedy. In Joker, the exact same scene exists where Arthur is made nervous by the two detectives and hits his head in the exit door, while the entry door is the other one. Again, a coincidence? Point number 9. Both the characters in both the movies always seem to be running from the cops. They are always under threat from authority, always a suspect. Point number 10.
In both the movies, it looks like the ending is happy for both the characters. But it wasn't meant to be so.
The Joker really is a prisoner in the hospital and will probably lead a life of isolation and loneliness, theoretically speaking. While in Modern Times, like any other film of Chaplin involving the character of Little Tramp, the ending was supposed to be him ending up alone, and his girl was supposed to have become a nun, leaving the tramp lonely like always. But for some reason, the actual ending in the movie was changed and replaced with a forced happy end to life of misery and tragic comedy. Point number 11. In both the films, the characters are never in control. It seems like things always happen to them, as if they were puppets of a show and the universe was making them dance, until they morph and eventually accept their true identity. For Chaplin, it's when he takes control of the crowd in the restaurant and becomes his real, true self, that of an artist, a comedian. While as in Joker, Arthur is finally in control when he takes on his identity of the clown prince of crime. That's the only time that they are truly self-actualized. Point number 12. In one scene of Modern Times, Chaplin becomes a leader of a political movement without even knowing or intending to do so. The movement is against the oppressing higher class with a strong connotation towards a more equitable society, hinting towards communism. This was something that Charlie Chaplin was later on also accused of in his real life, that he supports communism. In Joker, however, Arthur also accidentally becomes the leader of a social movement against the rich, while he never intended to do that. Point number 13. In Joker, Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times is constantly referenced. He is on the billboards of the box office outside which the crowd is protesting. His film is played in the theater where the elites, including Bruce Wayne, is watching the film, and Arthur also laughs at the jokes of Modern Times. He is referenced towards the end of the movie in the credits, in the song, and even the outlook of Arthur in the movie resembles that of Charlie Chaplin. Again, a coincidence? Point number 14. They both want to go back to jail and hospital respectively. They cannot stay in the outside world and long to get away from the society. Chaplin, out of desperation, commits an unlawful act of eating a large buffet without paying, with a hope that he would end up in jail, which he considers a better place to live and survive than the outside world, in part because he really cannot afford any food and shelter. In Joker, however, Arthur asks the receptionist in the hospital, does one have to commit a crime to end up there? Indicating that he wants to be there and does commit many crimes to eventually land in the hospital, in part because he cannot afford medication, which has been cut out by the government. And the last and final point number 15. Towards the end, they both know that this will never end and that the struggle will go on. So, they put on a happy face and smile.
Now, I don't know if you by any stretch of the imagination are convinced by the hidden relationship between these two characters.
But for me, Todd Phillips meant that Arthur is dreaming this whole thing up and is using Charlie Chaplin's movie in his imagination. He wanted to draw a parallel between the two movies, just like he drew a parallel between other movies like Taxi Driver, King of Comedy, Fight Club, etc. This begs a question. Is Chaplin just a funny character? Or is he the real-life Joker?
As a bonus point, note that in the movie Joker,
Arthur's mother is mentally ill and was admitted in a mental asylum. And don't be surprised when I tell you that Charlie Chaplin's mother in real life was also mentally ill and was admitted in a mental institute as he watched the harrowing descent of his mother into madness, witnessed by a young Chaplin who says that he will never forget it.
Schopenhauer said happiness is a negative state, but I disagree.
I would love to keep making these film analysis and film reviews where I draw resemblances between different themes out there in the world and different ideas. This helps me deepen my own understanding of the world, and I hope that in some way, shape or form, it helps you do so as well. And I would really love it if you guys can get involved as well, so subscribe, press the bell icon, let's stay connected, and don't forget, let's put a smile on that face.